Hey there. Happy Sunday evening. Happy Memorial Day weekend here in the States to everyone. Glad that you can join us. I know probably won't have that big of an attendance this evening just because it's a holiday weekend. But if you're here, we appreciate you guys coming for another episode of Watch Soup, episode 12. I am joined by my co-host, Clayton from the Watchdog podcast and Sanjay from the Engineer Wannabe channel. I'm Bobby Legs. Clayton, how are you, man? How's your holiday weekend? And what do you have on wrist?
Doing well. Had a busy weekend. Quick trip up to Rhinebeck, New York, antiquing country, as we were saying off air. It's a beautiful part of the state. I love driving up there. It's really nice, relaxing drive. Not much traffic for relative's birthday party. So yeah, rush back today. Mowed the lawn. We have a parade that goes down the street from us, and we have a lot of traffic. So I had to make the lawn look
Yeah,
presentable for
yeah.
that for Memorial Day. I am wearing the Moser Endeavor. I don't know if you guys can
Very
see. I have
nice.
to reach
Yeah,
around
yeah.
my
Oh, yeah,
microphone.
yeah.
The weather is steaming up, so I think I might
Mm,
retire it here for just wear it a little bit less and
yeah.
start wearing the Air King a little bit more, just so I don't sweat up the band. But yeah,
Nice, nice.
yeah.
That Rhinebeck, and we're talking before that part of the Hudson Valley in New York is like one of my favorite spots to go to. Just a quick 2 hour drive from Manhattan if you're in Manhattan, up to the Thruway to the Catskills and the Hudson, New York, and the
Hmm.
Hudson River as well. Great artists from the late 1800s to early 20th century. The Hudson Valley artists were just amazing. George Innes, one of my favorites. Landscape, beautiful landscape paintings from that area. Um, yeah, awesome area. Hey, Sanjay, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Good. Tried to mow the lawn today, but only got halfway done.
Yeah, yeah,
That's okay. It's a multi-part job anyway.
yeah.
But yeah, good weekend. I don't have the long weekend like you guys, but I got one last week, so starting a new job tomorrow.
Oh,
Woohoo!
congratulations. Yeah, yeah.
On my wrist is the Grand Seiko SBGN 029.
Very nice. So, big day tomorrow, right? First day
Yeah.
in the new job. What do you have an idea what watch you're gonna wear tomorrow?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. It's gonna mostly be the same.
It's gonna,
Like it's like a lateral move to a neighboring dealership.
yeah.
So yeah, it's not huge.
Hmm.
So I might wear the Black B54.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That seems like,
Yeah.
good luck watch, you know what I mean? Like just don't do a review on it,
yeah,
anytime soon. But
yeah.
anyway,
How about
hey,
you?
listen, I got the Wolfie,
Oh,
Oh,
the John Mayer, the John Mayer Gen
yeah.
2. The Wolfie, I'm gonna call it now. Anyway, hey, let's say hello to the chat, and then we'll jump right into Watch Soup. Hey, Chris from the Watchdowns here. How you doing, Chris? Pocket Watch Time. How you doing, Pat? Good to see you. Mr. Cassioke is here. Hobby Bobby, you. What is going on? Hey, Pat is wearing the Zodiac Super Seawolf meteorite. Very nice.
nice.
Lynx, what's up, man? Good to see you. Cowboy Swami, sup, boys? I'm wearing Bobby's favorite watch, the Islander SKX mod. Oh, come on. Steve Time Hill, how you doing, buddy? Bill K is here. How are you? Hey, James is here, wearing the VC on the wrist. Um, Lynx says, I am currently wearing a vintage Hamilton Ferrari. Oh, very interesting. I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, I don't know that
Um,
one.
hey, Pete is here. What's going on, Pete? Hey, guys, working from home, so able to catch the stream today. Nice timing. What's Sanjay's new job?
I'm still an automotive detailer. So
Very nice. Very
yeah,
nice.
moving from working with someone to being lead detailer. So
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Excellent. That's awesome, man. Hey, and Stefan is here. How you doing, Stefan? All right. Soup's on.
you
And
got it.
Huzzah!
well, Pete is joining us live tonight, and it's ironic that one of the videos that we're going to be talking about is Pete's video, and Sanjay, I believe you picked it, right?
Yes, sir.
Um, so Pete did a video this week. Our Nevada Grechen and other revival brands, cheap cash grabs, etc. Sanjay, take it away.
Yeah, so I think that the title of the video was the interesting topic for me, at least. I mean, the whole Q&A was really interesting. There was a three-parter
Hmm.
for Pete, and I enjoyed every single question. So, but this actually got me thinking because I used to be very much against revival brands.
Hmm.
So when I heard Pete's, well, I should, yeah, it helped me explore my feelings a little bit more, and I really enjoy that about Pete's videos. You know, he puts more thought into his opinions, and more so than I do. So yeah, it got me to really explore what he was talking about, and his conclusion was something along the lines of it really depends,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
It depends on um, each brand has its own story.
Yeah.
So there's I think three brands he mentioned that were owned by the same person. I think Nivada Grechen, and a couple others.
Fears, right?
Yeah,
Volcane.
Vulcane, yeah.
And
Uh,
Fears, was it Fears?
no, Fierce is owned by Nicholas
Right,
Bowman
right.
Scargill, but he mentioned that
You
separately
mentioned
as
it, Fears.
one that is
Yeah.
a positive
Mm.
on like one of these Phoenix revival brands, and I agree. I do respect Fears, and I hadn't really thought of this. I often think of Blancpain, and I really can't. I appreciate the watchmaking, but I really can't get past the whole fact that this was kind of a sham,
Mm.
in a sense, right? Like about what 2 decades ago now, Jean-Claude Biver bought the rights to the brand for like $20,000 or something and built it up from the ground, which is respectable in its own right. But in terms of Blancpain as a history, I could never really love Blancpain.
Mm.
It felt like a lie. Um, and yeah, so this video got me to really explore those thoughts and see the other side. Like Chopek is I think on the high end, right? Blancpain, you got on one side, you got Chopek on the other side. I really respect Chopek, and I feel
Mm.
like it's to do with the ownership
Mm.
of the company and the fact that Chopek is so far lost. It's so far behind, like coming from Patek Philippe and Chopek getting together and making the brand to spinning off Chopek. And then I feel like Chopek just got lost. And
Mm.
we don't really know too much about Chopek. Um, at least I don't. And Chopek has come to make these really respectable watches. The same on the same note, Blancpain has too. But I feel like Chopek is working so hard to
Mm.
um, not just rest on the name, but to make a new name.
Mm.
And I feel like Fears does a similar thing.
Hmm.
Nevada Grechen, I'm not too enthused on, and a couple of other brands like what was that one that TGV really likes? Clayton, do you have?
Oh,
They've got like this weird crown lock system.
Squale?
No, no, no.
Oh,
hand,
oh,
not
Um,
Handheart.
no, not Handheart.
Graham?
Uh, it's got this like super weird crown locking system. It'll come to me, but but it
Our
was one of
brains
those.
aren't working.
Yeah, it was known for their bad customer service. They had this watch called the Wristmaster.
Oh, Yema?
Yamaha. Oh,
Yema, yeah.
I I I can't stand Yamaha.
Yeah.
It just all feels so. It
Mm.
feels like we're getting hosed down or kind of lied to, you know. But I would love to hear your thoughts on it, like Rob, yours and Clayton, on revival brands, because this is new. I'm like re-exploring
Mm.
new areas.
Clayton, why don't you hop in?
I always love more selection for watch enthusiasts, right? So I had a bad experience with a revival brand early on. I got suckered in.
Mm,
So the brand Ulsta, they
okay.
were a brand, a smaller brand in the 70s. They're known for the
Mm.
Jaws watch. Jaws is one of
Yep.
my favorite
Yep.
movies.
Yep.
It was on the wrist of the character Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss. The
Hmm.
Ulster watch. They were a victim of the quartz crisis, went away. So right around the time I got into watches, they had sort of re-released or been revived. by and I can't remember the guy's name right now, the guy who revived the brand, but of course playing on that Jaws thing and suckered me right in. And so that watch was like $1,000 with an NH35, and that had really held me back. And I actually heard a podcast with the watch chronicler Armand, right? He
Mm-hmm.
had the owner of this brand on, and he talked about how they put that inexpensive movement in so they could put the money into the rest of the watch, and that's why it's $1,000. And I bought it hook, line, and sinker, and I got that watch, and boy, it was disappointing. The QC was just poor. You would have been disappointed on like a $400 watch. To really, the bezel was inoperable almost. It was. I showed it to my friend who ended up buying it for me, and he sold it on. Same thing. It was just like, oh, it was not well made. The bracelet was cool, like retro vintage, but it was a poor. Yeah, it was just shouldn't have been $1,000. They're totally relying on that Jaws provenance, right? So yeah, that really soured me on these, but I do like some of what Nivada Grenchen's doing. I mean, Doxa, I think they were done for the right reason. Rick Marai, and now like he's done it with other brands. Now that he's Synchron and Aquastar and all of these brands, and Synchron with that great spite release of the Synchron military, because he wanted to do that when he was with Doxa, and the Jenny family shut it down. So when he was with Synchron, he's like, you know what? When this watch existed, Synchron owned Doxa, so haha, we're gonna do this. So yeah, I like a good spite release. So yeah, I mean, I like the choices. I mean, if I believe, like kind of what Pete was saying in the video, if I believe in the message and the reasons behind why the brand was revived, then I'd certainly buy one.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think Pete came to a really reasonable conclusion by saying that it's a case by case basis. Absolutely. I've had some experience with some revival brands, and reviewing a brand like Fears. Now, the thing with Fears is, if you buy into that story about the guy who, I forget his name, but the guy who revived it, it being a family brand. If you buy into that, and it's a really good story to buy into, actually, right? Then it kind of makes it worth it, because those prices on those Fears are kind of pricey, right? They're cool watches, very retro feeling, but the price point's a little bit higher than I think it should be. But whatever, if you buy into the story, you're going to buy into the brand. And that was a great example that Pete brought up, and saying, like, if the guy ends up selling the brand, then he's not so much of a big fan of Fears after all. But it seems like that's not what he wants to do. He wants to keep it in family, and hopefully he does some innovating, right? I mean, he's got a good blueprint right now, just like going back and re-releasing or reimagining some of the old Fears models into modern editions. But I've experienced, like I said, owning some of these revival pieces, and most of it has been pretty good. You named Aquastar. I bought an Aquastar, I think it was sometime last year, and I thought the watch aesthetically looked good. It was okay. It was okay. It felt a little. Well, it wasn't as robust and substantial as I thought it would be. It was a smaller diver. They make bigger chronos at 42. I think that's probably where I should have gone. And I had another one, and I sold the watch, and it's one of these watches that I wish I'd never did. And that was a Vertex, right? I had a Vertex, and that was a revival.
Love that one.
Such a great watch. Like, if you can get past the fact that, okay, you're spending $2,500 to $3,000 on a field watch, right? Because that could be a deal breaker for some people. But the quality of it, it was so good. The way the indices and the loom just popped off of the dial. It's just a great wear, such a great watch. Wish I never sold that piece. I really, really do. But anyway, yeah. Like what he said, I like. He also mentioned a bit about like his retirement watch, and actually, starting to think about that now. Like, he hasn't have anything in mind yet, but the whole concept of rewarding himself with a watch of retirement, he's starting to think about that. And I kind of sort of had that thought recently with my 50th. It couldn't, it didn't manifest itself, but hopefully the next year or two it will be, because it's like a milestone birthday, and what Pete is about to do when he retires, that's a milestone event, and hopefully, he'll pick something really good. So that also jumped out on me. But let's catch up with the chat, see what everybody says. And hey, how you doing? Hey,
Yes,
Bobby,
he
Sanjay,
did.
Clayton, chat, how you doing? Good. Watch down, Chris. So once I pass on the when I take it this coming month and get the Wall Street Bulgari Octo or Cartier as the first dress watch, I like the Octo. Yeah, Octo is a very, very cool looking watch, man. Past the series 6 or series 7, right? Chris, you're saying? Okay, I think I understand what you meant. Yep, Yema, that's what it was. Stefan saying, I don't care too much about history. What is what is it worth? What they did 200 years ago, or that they exist that long ago, has no real worth. No one that built it is still part of the brand, etc. Look, Stefan, I see where you're coming from, but I do place some importance on brand history
Mhm.
in general. Like, I know Breguet's been dead for like over 250 years, right? Over 200 years, but you know what I mean? Like the fact that, it's his name on it does mean a little something
Yeah.
to me, right?
Hmm.
Um,
I'm a huge sucker for history too.
yeah.
It's just that's the most romantic part about owning a mechanical watch, I think, because you can reminisce like a little bit, at least not reminisce because you
Yeah.
weren't there, but
Right, right. But
you
you
can
can
think back
appreciate
to.
Remember in
how it was done.
1795,
Yeah, like it's still, I get what you're saying,
yeah,
Sanjay. It's still
totally.
something that they've been doing for a few hundred years now.
Continuously
Yeah,
too, which is
continuously.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Um,
that's part of why, like, if a brand died and then it was brought back, I think that puts a huge damper, especially there might be some redeeming quality if we're strictly looking at history, there might be some redeeming quality if there is a similar ownership. I think with Longa, there's a family tie with the person who revived the brand. I think
hmm,
I'm pretty sure, and I think that brings some credibility. I feel like there's some DNA passed through. I don't know. It's hard. I'm still kind of thinking about my solid thoughts about this, but that's why I can look at Longa and be look at it fondly at that
hmm,
brand. But then when I
hmm,
see Blancpain, there's still some apprehension when I think of Blancpain. I love the watches, like especially their recent release, that 37 millimeter Air Command. Oh
hmm,
man, I love that watch, but there's some apprehension when I think of Blancpain. It's just a little sullied, the name's a little tarnished
hmm.
because it died.
And also
Well, I mean,
looking
some of
why
these,
they died, right? Like, maybe do we give a pass because the quartz crisis really killed a lot of those brands? Like, if
I
they
mean, I
were,
do.
yeah. So
Mhm.
let's look at why.
Yeah,
Maybe judge it a case by case in that way too. Like, was it mismanagement? Was it just it was a hard time during the quartz crisis for all of these, especially the smaller brands who are just trying to make it, like an Ulsta or Nivada Grechen or whatever the
yeah,
case might be. So do they get another shot? And Nivada Grechen's doing great. Mr.
hmm,
O'Leary even has one and is talking about them. So I
yeah,
mean,
and that's your boy, Sanjay.
yeah,
Yeah,
Who? Nevada?
O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that
But
part.
so it's interesting. Like, when we talk about history and then giving second chances, what about a brand like Movado, right? Like Movado, had some incredible timepieces 40, 50 years, 60 years ago. They used El Primero movement in some of their chronographs, and then they went into something that just looked like a black disc with a little diamond at the 12,
Yeah.
for a long time. You know what I mean? Like what, and they're still around, right? They haven't died. And should they die? You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I mean, so I mean, like, does that can you wrap your head around that, Sanjay? Does that make you, like kind of like appreciate maybe more what Blancpain is doing?
I don't
That,
know.
I just threw it out
Hey,
there.
Oris made it.
Yeah, yeah,
Oris
Yeah.
made
yeah.
it.
Pocket Watch saying revival or not. If I don't like the watch, I still won't like the watch. Hey Paul, how you doing? Um, Dib is saying word on the streets is that Chopix CEO isn't let into the restaurant when the Patek Philippe CEO is having a all right, starting trouble. This is saying I have the Ulster watch, want to sell it.
Yeah, it's a
uh,
consensus.
he bought it for the Jaws connection purely.
Right.
Um, how you always say, I had an Ulster as well, and totally agree, it's a cheap garbage.
Yeah. It was really disappointing. It was also small, very small.
Yeah, I love a good competitive watch release. I have a Meta certified Tudor ceramic. Um, what are you guys? Some of your pet peeves? Hey, Links, we'll answer about that in another episode. But that's a good question.
Mhm.
I'm sure. Well, Sanjay, it's spring bars, right?
Yep.
So, so if you want to look at look up Sanjay's spring bar video. I think that was a live video on some of his pet peeves, right? That's a very good one. Bobby saying Vertex is very similar to Fear's Family Reboot. Um, okay. Oh, I have to disagree with Rob. Nothing about Aquastar quality let me down. All right, I just hey, look, that little 37, maybe because it was 37 millimeters, maybe it was small. That's what it is. I think Hobby has a or had an Aquastar, but one of those Chronos that I'm sure was great. Cabby Link is here. Hey, P Wilson. Hey, fellas, how you doing? Um, Paul is saying Blueprint, buy a forgotten name on the cheap, make it in Szechuan on the cheap, nail the marketing. Okay. Ping fan. Okay. All right. Okay. Uh, I'll read it as they. Okay. Robert is saying, does what Henry Ford do to impact what Ford does today any more than how it impacts other car manufacturers? And that's a good point, Sanjay. I think or somebody had made the point about history and not meaning much.
Yeah.
Um, but
But I find this a little different because automobiles are not, I mean, they are romantic when it comes to um, really like high-end vehicles or sports vehicles. I guess there's romance there. It's another toy, kind of like a wristwatch. But I feel like a wristwatch is a bit different,
hmm,
than a car. So I don't know. It's a good
what about
argument.
video games? What about old video game consoles? And when they
Um,
revive them and they
they do that. It's kind of more
yeah,
of a recent thing, I think.
yeah,
How about
They
live remakes of The Lion King,
or
Little
Yeah.
Mermaid?
or Little Mermaid, like I saw today with my kids.
Yeah.
How
Oh,
about that?
that Lion
I'm
King
not a
remake
fan of
was a
that at all. Come up with some new
travesty.
ideas, guys. Come on,
Right?
Hollywood.
That's what me and Mrs. Legs are saying. Come up with something new. Come up with
I
something new, will you?
when I watched them do the Be Prepared, like Scar's um
Yeah.
song, and
Mhm.
they just tossed it out the window, and it's just these hyenas going, "Be prepared, be prepared." I was so mad.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah. I hope there weren't any boxes in the trunk when that
Right.
happened.
You never
Uh,
know. Never know.
hey, the only revival Justin recognizes is Credence. Yeah, Clearwater for sure. Hey, Big Riss is here. How you doing? What's going on? Pete saying, I think continued employees is more important than continued ownership. That's where the culture of the organization is maintained.
Hmm.
Um, Movado actually has some clean pieces in their back catalog. I reviewed one not too long ago. Ultimate Crash Cash Grab has to be Invicta Revival. Wow. Okay. Nothing matches Dracar Noir like a museum dial Movado. You know what? I think like no truer words have ever been said in the history of the world, James. That you are spot on with that one. Paul saying really all that matters is quality and integrity of the product, not necessarily a common thing in watches. LOL. Um, okay, let's scroll down here, and hey, quicker than drawing. Hey, how are you? Thanks for joining us today. Good to see you. Let's move on to the second video that we're taking a look at, and it is Teddy Baldassarre's 8 Kinds of Watch Collectors You Should Never Become. Now, this is my selection. It was a last minute change. I had a different video selected, but I thought this was a good one to discuss because I want to know, after I go through the list, what Clayton and Sanjay, like, which ones do they identify with? Because I know I identify with a lot of these, and I'll just list the 8 ones really quickly because there are 8. And the first one Teddy talks about, is a person afraid to wear their watches, afraid to get it scratched. Maybe if you just keep them in a box, right? Maybe you're just actually a hoarder of shiny things, he says, right? And that needs to be analyzed, more deeply, possibly. Number 2, I can't even read my handwriting. Let's pass on that one. I'm sorry. Uh, yeah, I still can't read it. I thought I could read it. Okay, number 3, snobby elitist. The person, the collector that hates anything that is not part of their standard or the short list of their standard, and putting down other people for not being part of that. Number 4, can't afford it. The opposite side of what he says with the snobby elitist. This is also snobby. Also, somebody who maybe can't afford these higher end watches, and by that only is the reason why they hate those watches. Number 5, the flipper. And he's not talking about the person who maybe buys a watch in a couple months, realizes there's no connection or it doesn't really work for them, and they sell it. It's a person who goes in to buy the watch fully intending to sell it, tells the AD a story that they really want the watch, and at the end of the day, they just walk out and they go sell that. Number 6, the endless window shopper, wasting time at the AD, asking a ton of questions about something and never pulling the trigger. As somebody who did sales for a while, and that was real estate a long time ago, man, I had people who I was basically a glorified chauffeur, right? I was showing them houses, 20, 30 houses, and then they would just disappear and nothing. Ask me 20 questions, send me emails, I would answer every single one, and at the end of the day, they would just disappear. So I get that one for sure. Number 7, the critic, unable to recognize anything that's outside their taste as being any good. Kind of almost like relatable to the snobby watch collector, right? And number 8, the unrealistic expectations. Maybe somebody who's been doing this for a little while and just has unrealistic expectations about quality of a watch for a price point or whatever. Just somebody just has, like, is never happy. I'm still trying to read this second one. I think I have something here, causing financial strain, almost.
Oh yeah, I think it was. Yeah, don't be rocking a nice Rolex when your car is held together with
Mm.
chicken wire and duct tape, right?
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah,
okay. Here it is.
yeah,
I've spent every dollar on a watch, right?
right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then bragging about, oh, I'm gonna have to eat ramen noodles this month because
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So
right.
so quickly before I teed off to you guys and to the chat about who they've may identify with. There's so many things here that I identify with. At first, when I first started getting back into collecting, I was a little bit kind of like the guy who was afraid of getting a scratch on the watch, and then when you got that scratch, and I would just be so distraught. But then after that, I was good with it, right? I was good. I put my mark on it, and so I really. I wear my watches, and if I nick them up, that's okay. I really don't have a problem with that anymore. I'm not so much like that one type of watch collector. The everyday, every dollar, not really identify too much with that. I try to, live within my means. And if I get over my skis a little too much with collection wise and have too much money in a box, I feel, right. Well, whatever. If it's too much, if it's much more than I'm comfortable with, I sell. I sell. And then I use those for other things like improvements in a house or kids' school and whatnot. Like I don't rob Peter to pay Paul or whatever, however that phrase is, right? So like I have watches are not the top priority, although it's one of my favorite things to to talk about. Snobby elitist. Look, if I'm honest with myself, there's part of me that's a snobby elitist, and it comes down to like certain brands that I just like don't get and have a visceral reaction towards, and it's just not because necessarily they're like affordable or whatnot, because I do like my affordable watches, but that there's some of them are just wrapped around a lie, and that's what actually irks me a little bit. Um, the Not really the flipper, although I do get watches from time to time, and then after a few months, I'm like, okay, this is not working for me. Not with the intention of trying to make a profit. That's not what I am. And and pretty much it. Now, maybe about half of them I identify with.
Hmm.
Clayton, do you identify with yourself with any of these type of watch collectors?
Yeah, like number one, I'm totally not afraid to wear my watches. Not in the least. With this Moser is probably the first time where, like the first few days, I was a bit hesitant, but oh boy, yeah, like I've said a bunch of times, if you were to look at it, there's scratches on there. Wear the heck out of it. So yeah, not afraid to do that. The second one, boy, it's really easy to get carried away financially, right? Sometimes we just, and that's why one of the reasons I'm not a flipper, like you said, I'm not a flipper to make money on a watch. I'm a flipper to keep this going so I can keep experiencing watches, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, well, I think when you have a certain equity in the collection, and Sanjay does this very well. Put them in the trunk and drive to the AD and trade them away, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've got that under control now. Like I've never been close to financial ruin, but I can see how, especially when our friends are buying watches and maybe we get indirectly or directly influenced by that, that can happen as well. But yeah, I've sold watches to, so I can do real life things like cars and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's not a real concern. My watches would be gone in a minute if, I lost my job, and they'd be the first thing to go because, yeah, life has to go on. I
Hmm.
need a place to live.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I see the reverse snobbery thing a lot. We see, and I think there's a little bit of, like you were saying, a little bit of watch snob in all of us. There are certain brands that maybe I don't know if I look down on, but it just wouldn't be for me anymore. Even it may have been at one point, and yeah, again, it's not strictly affordable watches. I love many affordable watches, but there are certain brands that eh. But reverse snobbery, I see a lot. People who I can't afford a Rolex, so Rolex is garbage, or
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
kind of thing. Yeah, you see a lot of that. Like, why can't we just be happy for people who can afford nicer, expensive watches than us? I said on my podcast this week, there's always going to be someone who, no matter how nice our watches are, there's going to be somebody who has something better. So enjoy what you have and let them enjoy what they have. And that's really it. I know some contrarians who have to complain about everything, but I don't really identify with that. So yeah, those were the main things.
Yeah. Seji, how about yourself?
Um, I okay for me. I think I identify very closely with the second one, every dollar on watches, but um, not to the extent that he was saying, like
Yeah.
not to the extent of eating ramen noodles and neglecting every other aspect of life. Um, I'd say like my emergency fund, uh, or our emergency fund is also my watch fund, so
Hmm.
so there's overlap there. If like if there's a good deal on a watch, it's an emergency, right? So that's how I rationalize. Uh, but so I can get pretty close to that. Every dollar on watches, I will be very aggressive with my spending, or very aggressive with not spending, so that I can get a watch that I want, or be able to put a little bit of money in along with the trade to get that watch that I want to get. So I absolutely will not buy. And I'm getting better at this every day. I will not go out to eat. If I forget my lunch in the morning for work, I will just not eat.
Hmm.
So I will save every, and it's not. I don't feel bad about it, and I don't feel like I'm in squalor or something. It's hey, you didn't pack a lunch this morning. That's your problem. You made that mistake. Um, and one day's lunch is not worth me not saving up for watches. So I will
Dedicated.
save
You're
aggressively.
hardcore, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't buy a coffee outside anymore. No Starbucks,
Yeah.
no Tim Hortons, and to the end that I can get a nice watch, and that's how much a watch means to me, right?
Yeah.
Um, but like you said, Clayton, if the worst happened, I couldn't work anymore, and emergency fund runs out, things are looking really bad. I The first thing to go would be the watches. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and family matters more, and getting to work, being able to do work, equipment for work, all those things matter more than watches. But while there's no burning fires over there, the emergency fund is the watch fund. So yeah, I can't really um align myself or relate to anyone else. Maybe the critic. I don't
Mm.
I don't know, but not really. Not really feeling that one either. So I can't really relate to a lot of this, except that second one hit really close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all content creators, so I think sometimes we're critical just because we have like a forum to talk about watches. So
Good point.
we may just come off as being a little more critical sometimes, but we're maybe just not as much. We have an audience, so more people hear our opinions. So, but really, we're just expressing our opinions.
Mm.
Teddy can get the hell out of here with that take. I'll spend my money on whatever I want as I get into my 90s Geo Metro. Justin. Pete saying, I'm always in danger of both versions of snob unless I pay attention to it. Yeah. Lots
Mm.
of words on the streets this evening. I think that's related to something did put up that I'm not going to put up, actually. Wilson saying, Borealis will always have a place in
Oh,
my
of
heart.
course.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And you have the best Borealis of them all, too. Bill K. Dib's really connected to Street Talk. He totally is. Dib, I'm not. You can look in the chat where he said, but he is definitely connected to the streets. Stefan is saying, I am cautioning people to buying too many cheap shitters when they said could buy a decent watches instead. But if I know that somebody likes to collect, then I will surely not talk bad about it. Yeah, look, I mean,
Mm.
sage advice there, Stefan. I'm in. That's I try to live by that. Like now at this point, not spend as much on some of the pieces that I know that I won't be, but I still do it. I still do it. I just need that fix, sometimes, and it's going to be interesting. Like, I'm down now to 3 watches, right? And I have told myself that I am not going to buy anything for my collection until 2024. And so we'll see if I have the willpower to stick with that and not try to, get that quick fix in. So,
Like a Jeff McMahon move.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
you heard it
yeah.
here first. I'm going to save this clip.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No. I'm fully aware that I'm probably going to fail, but I'm going to do my best to do it.
I'm trying to set realistic goals, like every 8 to 10 episodes that I do of the podcast. Then
Yeah.
I can buy something if I want to.
What's keeping me grounded is that we just have so much stuff that we want to do
Yeah.
with the house, right? And that's something that I'm very much into. Like I want to make this place like more and more in the vision that my wife and I have. You know what I mean? So that is a driving force that I think I can ride the coattails on and keep me off of any major watch purchases for the rest of the year. But we'll see. Again, I'll probably fail. Justin saying no Tim Hortons, and you call yourself Canadian. Um, Pat saying that's why I don't drink alcohol too much money. I'd rather have a watch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No
Um,
alcohol for me either.
Paul saying it's like I cannot stress this enough. They are not important. Um, Chris is saying my Black Bay is worth more than my Buick at the moment. Hey, look, look, I get the car for me. Like, I see a car getting from point A to point B. Like, I
Me
am
too.
past the point now where um I find that to be the type of car I have is important. Like it's not important to me. Now, there's other people who are really into cars, and I get that, and good for you. That's awesome. Like I'm really into whatever I'm into. But right
Cuckoo
now,
clock.
I just see it as just function only, right? Um,
How's the cuckoo clock collection?
just the three. It's been three for a long time, and you know what? Three's enough. Three's
Yeah.
enough Google clocks.
How's that Timex bench press clock?
Oh, it's awesome. It's right on the mantle. Yeah, still on the mantle. My mother-in-law is very happy when she gave me that gift. So, I used to use my school lunch money on comic books back in elementary school. Yeah. Um, Cowboy Swami saying it's crazy because time is only a concept. We have it linear, but it's spherical. Energy is not created nor destroyed, so past, present, and future is happening simultaneously. Yeah, it's a little deep for me right now at 9:41 p.m. Eastern Standard Time,
It's like
but I
theoretical
like it.
physics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Um, Pete saying, I see the unrealistic expectations all the time as people don't stop to think. Like, I want this movement that won't be in anything less than a 40 millimeter watch is in a 36 millimeter watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Paul saying, okay, watch your mouth. Sports cars are important. No. I know, and I know they are to you, Paul. And so that's why that's why I was saying, look, and that's I'm not judging. I mean, that's great. I think it should be important to you. But for me, I get the other side of like the watch is more than my car. If the car thing is not that important to you, then it's okay, that's fine. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares, right? Okay, moving on to the final topic of the evening. Oh man, this video triggered me, man. Revolution Watch,
Your
5 things
favorite.
not to do to your friends' watches. Clayton.
All right, so yeah, slap-o-meter.
Yeah.
Revolution Watch, Waco and his buddy Constant talking about showing your friends your watch and how they abuse it when they're handling it. So Waco talked about how he was in Geneva and he went out with some friends and he had just bought a brand new Cartier watch and his friend said, "Oh, can I check that out?" And they passed it to the wife, and she put it right next to the watch he was wearing. Bashed the side of it. There was a scratch on it. Oh, his new watch. And then the next night, he went out to dinner, and his friend asked if the watch had lume, and he shined it with his flashlight, scraped the phone all over the dial crystal of the watch. So scratched his brand new watch on a couple different occasions. And Waco said, "That's it. We have to lay some rules down when it comes to collateral damage, crimes against watch humanity. We have to lay some rules down for handling our friends' watches. Now that we're on the other side of COVID, perhaps a lot more watch meetups are happening, and that means more and more strangers are handling our watches, right? We're getting together with our watch buddies. So there has to be a certain amount of etiquette that comes in, and they use the power slap footage here, the slap-o-meter on how many slaps a person should get if they do this to your watch. So I think after each one, I'm going to get your slap-o-meter rating. So we'll just do this one at a time here, okay? So the first one is, just if someone shows you their watch, before you try it on, remove your watch before you put their watch on your wrist next to it, because you're inevitably going to, you can do whatever you want to your own watch, but show some respect to a friend's watch. Take your watch off and then make that, or put it on the right wrist where there's no other watch. You don't want your friend's watch scraping up against your watch and potentially scratching it, right? So I think I give that a good old 3 on the slap-o-meter. Waco gave it 3 slaps, and Constant gave it 4 to 5 slaps. He was really triggered by this one. So how many slaps on the old slap-o-meter do you guys give the first one here?
Rob, good.
Oh, okay. 5. I think all these are 5. All the ones you're about to say, and sequentially, are all 5s. Yeah. So Sanjay, sorry.
Okay. So the problem would be if the watch hits the other watch, right?
Yeah.
I would say, if you're trying on the watch and you try it on maybe close to the watch, but not really banging it up against the watch, like, a sane individual. Um, maybe 2 slaps. It was still slap worthy.
But you
Like,
would
you
take
should.
the watch off. You would take your watch off
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
have
yeah.
to take the watch off.
Take your watch off.
So
Yeah.
you still deserve a slap. But if you don't smash the watches together, then yeah. Or not even smash. If you don't rub the watches together, then you still deserve a slap, but not 5 slaps. Two slaps.
All right. Maybe I'm less forgiving, I guess.
Yeah, that one's pretty slap worthy for me. All right, the second one is don't manipulate your friend's watch without permission, especially if it's a high end thing, like they were saying, a perpetual calendar,
Mm.
or those
Mm-hmm.
are a pain in the keister to set. So if you oh, let me see that, and you start pushing a bunch of buttons, and
Nope.
that could take hours to reset that thing the way you want to, or a minute repeater or something like that. I thought it's the equivalent to like, and I've heard from women who are pregnant, and people just feel like they have permission to touch their bellies and all this. Like, get your hands off of my belly. So yeah, don't unless you are asked or told or given permission. Just don't manipulate your buddy's watch. Yeah, this would be this is a 5 slapper for me for sure.
Yeah.
Both said 5 slaps on this one, Waco and Constant. So how about you guys?
5.
5
Again,
slaps.
5.
5 slaps.
5
Like,
slaps.
even with a 3-hander, I could be testing the watch's accuracy. If you
Right.
pull the crown out, I'd be so mad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Unless
who
I
does
tell you
that, though?
otherwise, just yeah. Unless I
But
tell you otherwise, just leave it alone.
if you guys gave me a watch crown, like I'm not like pulling the crown out
no.
and whining. I said I'm not
Right.
doing that unless you said, dude, you got to do that. You got to feel the crown. You got to feel. Oh, okay. But otherwise, I'm not doing that.
Mhm.
That's why it's like just 5.
Yeah. Number 3, don't handle watch while wearing rings. Take them off. So I hate to admit this, but this is a reason I was doing this to my own watches. This is a reason why I either wear a silicone wedding ring or not a wedding ring at all. I just want to ding it with my watch. I don't really love wearing like a stainless steel or some sort of ring, so I will just wear silicone or nothing at all. My wife's cool with it. I'm hopelessly devoted to her, but at the same time, just I don't love wearing rings. So yeah, I have often cringed when people are trying my watches on, because I know what a ring can do, because I have dinged the case backs of a couple of my own watches with my rings. So I often cringe, especially if somebody has like a, because I have a smaller wrist, and if I'm letting somebody with a bigger wrist try my watch on, they're trying to get their like big hand, like fit through the bracelet. It's like, oh, the ring, no, the ring. So yeah, this is a 5 for me. The big time 5er in the slap category. It was a 4 for both Constant and Waco.
Yep. I mean,
What about you guys? Yeah,
5.
5.
Yeah. I'm not too picky on rings. Yeah. I mean, I have never experienced this. I've never experienced a ring damaging a watch. I don't wear my ring anymore because detailing. Don't want to damage the car paint. But yeah, I've never seen this, so it's hard for me to think about. But yeah, when you mentioned trying to put the watch over, like if you have a big mitt of a fist and you're trying to get it over, and then the ring hits it. Yeah, if that happens, I'd be very upset. So 5.
All right, the fourth one was putting a watch down on a hard surface, right? If you're going to do that, if you're going to put it down, just make sure, even if you're at dinner or something and you didn't bring a fiber cloth or something like that, just napkin, or just put it on the crown. When I first got my Rolex Explorer, I went to lunch with a non-watch friend, but we went to a coffee shop, and I showed him my watch, and he he looked at it. He had he was handling it roughly, and then he right on the table. I was like, "Oh no, John!" And I was like, "No!" And he couldn't believe that I got upset about it. And I was like, I didn't really want to tell him how much it cost, but he could not believe it. So yeah, I mean, gosh. And don't put it down on your iPhone or a phone, because it could potentially get magnetized, right? So don't use that as the surface instead of a table. Yeah, always find something soft, a tablecloth or something like that. And then they talk about sex piles. So this whole thing, I know we've been to some meetups before. Everybody puts their watch, so we have to get our group picture, right?
I never knew it was called that.
The old sex pile. So yeah, if you're going to do that, put them apart so they're not stacked on top of each other, because that just is a recipe for dinging people's watches. Again, like I don't really care if my watch gets scratched up, but other people do, and you have to be respectful. These are not inexpensive, so respect whenever you're handling anybody's watches. Yeah, yeah, don't slide them if you're doing the whole sex pile. Like,
Nope.
oh, move them a little bit so we can closer, and then you slide them and they scratch against the table and everything, so you can get a better picture. Just do it on a flat surface or a tablecloth, and don't stack. Stack is whack, as Waco said. And then this was all kind of lumped together in number 4 here. Breathing on the somebody's watch to clean the crystal. You're handling your buddy's watch, you notice there's like a smudge on the crystal, so you go and then rub it against your shirt. Like, don't put your saliva and gross breath on somebody else's watches, man. Like, just bring a fiber cloth or something, like, unless they tell you, obviously. But yeah, that's just I don't know about that. But yeah, all these things. And yeah, when you rub it on your jeans or an abrasive shirt or something like that, could scratch a watch. So yeah, 5 on all these things for me.
See, this kind of triggered me. Like the part about jeans being abrasive and clothing being abrasive, I can see how they can get abrasive. Like if you're at the beach and you've got sand on you, sure, then you're literally wearing sandpaper. But if you're wearing clean clothes, jeans aren't abrasive, are they? I tried to
They
look this
might
up.
be able to, if you have like like sometimes you have those like bits of metal on jeans and stuff.
Okay,
Like
yeah,
you could
yeah,
hit
yeah.
that or something. Like, there's risk there.
But I mean, I guess
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. You never
people.
know with some of these people.
Yeah. This would be a 5 slap for me as well. I've actually seen watch enthusiasts take a watch, and there's a bunch of watches in the area. Take the watch, use the watch to push another watch aside so that there's more room to put that watch down. So they're bumping the watch with another watch just to push it out of the way to put it down. And yeah, a little part of me dies every time I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 5 slap.
And you're 5, Bobby, I presume.
5 slap.
Yeah.
5. And it made like I had to take a shower after like they used the term sex pile. Like I was just like I just felt dirty.
Yeah, seeing Waco say sex pile is definitely a turnoff. And the 5th one here is stacking a regular bracelet and a watch on the same wrist, right? You have this big clunky metal bracelet right next to your watch, and it is just bashing you. Every time you move your wrist, they're clinging together, and could cause some scratches, obviously, but you never know. You hit it hard enough, could cause some other damages depending on how delicate your watch might be, if it's a high horology piece or something like that. So yeah, this is where he said the stack is whack. This one, I wouldn't do that. I don't really wear bracelets. It would be like a silicone bracelet, if anything. So this one, a couple slaps, but not really pertinent to me.
But if a friend of yours,
Yes, yeah, right. Then it's a 5. Yeah,
then it's
right.
a 5. Yeah, for sure.
You have the big heavy bracelet on. Let me try your Air King on. Then yeah, bashing it together. Then yeah, right. It's the same as the other one where you're trying take your watch off before you try somebody else's watch on. Take your bracelet off before you try somebody else's watch on. Yeah, so 5. In that case, yeah.
5. Can I just briefly say what triggered me about this, like this faux tough guy act that Waco has. You know,
I
what
knew
I mean?
you were going to get triggered because you're not their biggest fan, so that's part of the reason I picked this.
Yeah, I mean, like he's like, oh, if you do this, motherfucker, we're gonna go outside. No, you're not. You're not going outside, dude. You're not going outside, man. Like, just stop it. Stop.
I don't watch a lot of their videos, but is he always like this? I don't really watch them all that much.
I got several beefs with. I mean, he doesn't know who I am, so he doesn't have beefs. But like, some couple of things, that has really like pissed me off about the guy. But like, now just add another one to the list. Like he thinks he's a tough guy. And maybe, I don't know, maybe he is. I don't know. But come on, man. I mean, like you represent an online watch magazine, right? You're trying to sell stuff, and don't sell me your tough guy attitude. It's not going to make me want to buy watches. Do you know what I mean? Like, did you see that? Did you see him? I don't know if he took it down, but on his like Instagram when he got like there was some issue with some like airport club that he was like he had some problems with an airport like one of these like airline clubs in an airport where he was trying to get a shower or something went on and he was just like cursing out the airlines on his little live IG post and the management of the airlines like cursing out like the dude was like seriously like no human being that is stable acts that way unless you're unstable or you got a huge coke problem. So maybe he has both or one of those two. Um, all these allegations are baseless. But anyway, that's just the vibe that I'm getting from. But come on, man, come on, just be
I
a
don't even follow
professional.
him on Instagram. I don't know. I have to go
No,
and
no, I don't
find
follow
that.
him either. But somebody has like put it in one of these like groups. Is oh, you got to
Ah,
check this out. You know what I mean? And I'm like, come on, dude, come on, man. Just like show respect for yourself.
The
You know what I mean?
the
Sorry.
Red Bar guy, didn't he do something similar too? Was the guy who founded Red Bar? Do you know his name? Cranios? Cranios?
Cronios or something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think he did something like that,
yeah,
something like that as well. I
yeah.
mean,
They both give me like a very similar vibe from watching this video. I'm very I wouldn't want to cross them, you know, in a weird way. I feel like I'd get a knife to the side just
no,
randomly
no,
or
not
something.
even, not even. That's not. Dude, they would never even come close to doing that. You know what I
internet
mean? It's just
internet tough guys.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
that this perception that like, like, oh, yeah, you must be cool, Waco, because you said, fuck off, man. We're gonna meet outside because you messed with my watch. Just shut up, man. Come on, dude. Just shut up. Just shut the fuck up.
As
Sorry.
somebody who owns a company, like I don't know, you're representing your business. He has a much bigger business than I do, so I it's
Yeah.
hard for me to believe that anybody who has that much to lose would go out and make a spectacle of himself. Maybe he thinks it makes him look cool. Obviously, he's trying to be some kind of tough guy. So
Just
just I wouldn't act like that.
yeah,
But
just wear your Ed Hardy and blow some lines somewhere else, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Man, this is Watch Soup. We respectable. We're respectable
right.
individuals here on Watch Soup. All right. Okay. Let me let me see what the chat's saying.
Mr. Poe, you are infinitely valuable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Chris is saying I have my watch collection around 30 now, but need a new car every 3 years. Both are important. Pete's saying his bike that he carries in the back of his car is worth more than this car. Paul
Yeah.
is saying, click, I'm switching over to TGV. Cars aren't important. I can't hear you over the stroke I'm having. um,
He did
um,
release a Grand Seiko video today. I saw TGV. I haven't seen it yet, but it
oh,
came up in
Oh,
my
really?
feed. Yeah.
yeah. I'd be interested to hear Sanjay's take on it because he is Mr. Grand Seiko on the airwaves. I don't take my watch off to show it. It's mine. Don't care what they think, Chris says. Pocket Time is saying when an AD sets your new watch for the first time and breaks it because she doesn't know the rule of setting the time and adjusting the date window. Oh, that's a bummer, man.
Oh,
Oh
Um,
man, can't believe that. Did that
what
happen?
five was the maximum slap.
yeah,
Pete's saying,
5.
"Hey guys, got to go to a meeting. Have a great night. Thanks, Pete. Thanks for
Thanks, Pete.
watching." Um, 10 slaps. Oh, a lot. We got a little 10 slaps over here. Um, there are two types of watch people: those who set the time and those that do not. The rest is irrelevant. Paul says. Oh, Sanjay, guess Holly was not happy about something that you said.
It was the abrasive jeans thing.
Oh, okay. Johnny McJohnface. That's a 10 slap offense if it's plexiglass or Hesselite.
Yeah.
Good video by Hobby. You're triggering me. You are triggering me, man. Sanjay, have you ever thought about how many metal shaving parts per million just grazing every so slightly, but still micro scratching your Suratsu?
Absolutely have. I do. I think about it. It keeps me up at night. Which is why which is why I don't wipe or clean my watches or anyone else's watches for that matter without some kind of spray lubricant.
Okay. Wayne needs more love. Ugh. Careful. Way will stab you with his collar. Fake tough guys are my biggest pet peeve. Oh, Wilson coming out of the gates there. He's a drunk for sure, but kind of lovable. Way that is, not Adam Cran. Is the guy who don't make threats that you have. Wait, it's the guys who don't make threats you have to be careful of. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, man.
Yeah.
Of course. Absolutely, Bruno.
The silent, deadly type in the corner,
Yeah.
just brooding.
Yeah.
But most
Yeah.
people don't make threats, right?
No. Yes, absolutely. Most people don't make threats, but it's the guys who can actually follow through who don't make threats who you got to be careful
Right.
for.
Yeah.
Because they just blend in with everybody else.
Right.
They don't have to have
You know?
this false sense of bravado because they're literally going to kick your ass.
Yeah. If Waco asked me to go party, I'm so there, dude. Never mind. I have plans for Christmas. Get him, Bobby. LOL. Soup is served. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bobby likes roast beef.
Throw some soup on him.
Yeah, throw some hot soup on him. He deserves it. Well, anyway, all right. I'm a little calmer. I've calmed down a little bit. But thanks, Clayton, for triggering. You knew
you're
what you were
welcome.
doing. You knew what you were doing, and
My friend actually sent me this video because he thought it was interesting, and I said, "All right, this is my pick." I don't actually subscribe to them, so I was like, "Oh,
yeah." I don't subscribe to them either. So it was interesting. Steve's asking, Sanjay, what do you use to lube for watch cleaning? What kind of lube?
Waterless or rinseless car wash that doesn't have wax in it. So, yeah. Optimum no rinse is what I use.
Okay. Fair enough. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we made it. We made it through another episode of the Soup Chat. Thank you so much for participating, as you always do. You guys are the heart and soul of the show. Clayton, if you want to check out Clayton's podcast, the Watchdog podcast, link is in the description. Clayton, what do you got going on this week?
New podcast dropped yesterday. A few different topics, including some. It's graduation season, so some words of wisdom for watch collectors with some quotes. It's hard thinking of ideas, like we were saying. So not my best, but what you gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's great.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great too. I can't wait to listen. And Sanjay from the Engineer Wannabe channel, link to his channel in the description below as well. What do you got going on this week, Sanjay?
Pepsi review coming out this week for sure.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
Quicker than drawing. You also have a great weekend. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate the support. Hey guys, Tuesday, another live stream going on, and it's also Friday. We're putting out a couple more videos this week, and then next Sunday will be another giveaway video I'll be putting out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Have a great, safe holiday weekend, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Watch Soup. Take care and good night.
Good night.
Good night.